The 70s weren't exactly the best decade for American cars in terms of power. I mean, just look at what the fastest American-made production car of 1978 was, and you'll see what I mean. No, it wasn't a Camaro. No, it wasn't a Mustang. And nope, it wasn't even a Corvette. Believe it or not, it was a Dodge truck, the Little Red Express. But that doesn't mean car companies weren't trying to make the best of a tough situation considering the regulations at the time. One example of this is the car AMC released in 1979, a hatchback with a V8. Sounds pretty wild, right? But as you'll see, it wasn't quite as powerful as it sounds. Still, it had a lot going for it, especially in the design department. This is the AMC Spirit AMX, and this is its story. This video is inspired by 3 articles about the AMC Spirit AMX, one from Auto Evolution, another from BF Goodrich Tires, and a third from Motor Trend. You can find links to these articles in the Google Doc linked in the description. I highly recommend checking them out for more in-depth information. By the late 1970s, AMC was better known for practical, affordable cars than for high-performance models. But the company had a legacy of performance dating back to the original AMX built from 1968 to 1970. In 1979, AMC decided to revive the AMX name, this time attaching it to their new Spirit liftback. The Spirit was built on the Gremlin platform, and the AMX version clearly took design cues from one of the decade's most iconic cars. The 1977 Pontiac Trans Am, made famous by the movie Smokey and the Bandit. The Spirit AMX featured wide fender flares, a bold hood graphic, and a distinctive rear spoiler. While the design wasn't as aggressive as the Trans Am, it still stood out from the rest of AMC's lineup. AMC also added unique touches to the interior. The car came equipped with sporty bucket seats, a 3-spoke steering wheel, and a center console with additional gauges. Aluminum-colored dash panels gave the cockpit a more performance-oriented feel. Under the hood, though, things were more modest. Buyers could choose between 2 engines, a 258 cubic inch inline-6 with 110 horsepower or a 304 cubic inch V8, making 125 horsepower. Even with the V8, the Spirit AMX wasn't particularly quick. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 10.6 seconds and cover the quarter mile in 17.6 seconds. Respectable for the time, but not enough to rival the muscle cars of the 1960s and 70s. Performance numbers aside, this Spirit had a sport-tuned suspension that improved handling. In fact, AMC's engineers were confident enough to send the car to Europe's legendary 24 Hours of Nürburgring in 1979. They finished first and second in their class out of 120 cars, and here's a cool bit of trivia. They were the only ones running on street tires. While not a traditional sports car, the Spirit AMX stood out with sharp styling and solid handling, making it a compelling choice in an era when performance cars were struggling. This AMC was a car shaped by its era, an attempt to keep performance alive in an age when regulations and market forces were working against it. Production numbers were low, making it a rare sight today. AMC built 3,657 units of the Spirit AMX in 1979, followed by just 865 units in 1980. Despite its modest output, the Spirit AMX had a racing pedigree thanks to its Nürburgring victory. It was also one of the last performance cars to carry the AMX badge before AMC was absorbed by Chrysler. Compared to other cars of its time, this version of the Spirit occupied a unique position. It wasn't as powerful as the Pontiac Trans Am, but it stood out with uncommon features like its TurboCast 2 wheels, which gave the car a more aggressive stance, and its styling. The 1979 Spirit AMX was really a victim of its time. The tough regulations of the 70s held it back from reaching its full potential. Even though it didn't have the power of some of its competitors, it still had personality. As we wrap up, let's get a bit creative. Imagine a world where those regulations of the 70s weren't in the way. Do you think the Spirit AMX could have been way more successful with a V8 that had a bit more power? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and click on the recommended video that appears on the screen. It's all about the Studebaker Gran Turismo Hawk. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.